Um, Originally my plan was to read a brief statement about, as a resident of Yarbrough, whose apartment is 20 feet at best from the training site, the tactical training site, how I felt about it. After listening to the chief's explanation of what happened that day on training, I need to first say, whoever gave him his information about what happened that day in training did not tell him the truth. What he sat here and told you is not true. They did not have 5 people posted where those green dots were. One of those green dots was in my front yard. Somebody was confined to my house, and she's actually in the hospital right now for a separate situation. And hearing him say that nobody was confined when there was a cop, Officer Anderson, exactly, I spoke to him myself, posted up in front of my screen door where I physically could not get it open. My guest could not leave. She will tell you herself under oath or anything else. Not only was she confined, but there was a police officer physically standing in front of my door so she physically couldn't open it. Other people were not only not asked to not enter the training site, they were threatened with arrest for trespass, as was she. That is the biggest, hugest misinformation he was given. Not only did you make grown people who pay rent feel disrespected, but you attempted to strip their dignity by confining them and then threatening to arrest them just to move about as they do any other day. Additionally, the sign that was posted towards the street, we did not have access to because it was roped off from where the residents could get access to that side of the parking lot. So how would we have seen it? And as I just said, if you attempted to have access to that parking lot, you were threatened with arrest. Additionally, why there were complaints when the Albany Police Department did it as opposed to, say, March 1st when the marshals did it, they were very polite about letting us know they were training when we asked. Nobody was confined. Nobody was threatened with arrest. And they did not throw tear gas, come in military fatigues, shoot AR-15s and simulated ammunition, use battering rams, gas masks, and what he calls firecrackers, I call small explosions. If that puts it into perspective. After addressing that, I would just like to read my pre-written comment about how I feel, and I will keep it brief. I'm addressing the Common Council today to discuss the APD SWAT training in Yarbrough that took place on March 21st. I'm here to ask that we move beyond apologies to seeking remedies to prevent this and other related practices which could be seen as abusive from happening again. I find myself dismayed and in disbelief that something like this would even need a conversation. Yes, we all agree public training is important for their safety and ours, but I am bewildered by the logic that police preparedness translates to acceptance of SWAT-level training in residential neighborhoods, with or without notification. It's important that I cook a meal so my children don't starve. Not starving is important. I don't drag a charcoal grill in my house and poison everybody with carbon monoxide. I use a stove. One has nothing to do with the other. All levels of police training are not equal, and the training we are discussing today includes real assault weapons, real tear gas, real gas masks, real battering rams, real military fatigues. The only thing simulated was the ammunition and the hostage situation. I think it's unconscionable for anyone in this room to believe that that level of police training that we're discussing here is appropriate in residential property anywhere, not just Yarbrough. But specifically targeting federally subsidized properties to conduct SWAT-level training implies that the people who live there are normal people with normal everyday lives that can be disrupted by gunfire and tear gas. We are not guinea pigs. With that being said, I hope we can all agree that this was a huge mistake, but also a huge lack of insight and judgment. However, we are all human, and no one is capable of getting it right all the time. That is why it's extremely important to have legitimate oversight, clear policies, and a strong system of checks and balances. I don't, and many other residents of Albany don't want SWAT training outside their homes or on residential properties. The police department, Albany Housing Authority, and maybe others believe that SWAT training scenarios in residential properties should be a normal way of life. Who makes the final decision? Do we all go to mediation? Do we have a citywide vote? Do our voices matter? Because if not, we might start electing the police and appointing the politicians. But what we don't do is ask people, which has happened several times every discussion tonight to ask people to choose between police protection and my personal protection and the protection of my children. The police are supposed to protect. That's what they signed up for. That's what tax dollars pay for. And though the job, I agree, may be thankless at times, we all have the freedom to choose and pursue our careers. But unlike a career, the freedom to live a normal life that does not include SWAT and tear gas on our doorsteps should not be a choice, certainly not a choice left up to a chosen few. If the Common Council, the Albany Housing Authority, and the City of Albany believe strongly in the need for this level of police training, then they should collectively allocate or make funds available for that purpose. And that's all I have to say about how I feel as a resident who lives 20 feet away from where the tear gas was thrown. Oh, and that's another misconception. If you look at the pictures that have been displayed all over the news, the apartment they threw the tear gas in, there are 2 windows clearly open. How did the tear gas not seep out? The wind was blowing directly in the direction of my home. That is a misconception. That's all I have to say.
And thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
You raised a number of issues. One of them was the possibility of mediation or communication. I know that you are working with at least one other entity toward better policies in this regard. But if you have an interest in pursuing other communication about this or other potential remedies, I would really like to continue to be in contact with you about those. We have a Citizens Police Review Board. I don't know that this is the kind of issue that would appropriately go there, but this is a standing committee of the Common Council. We would really like to communicate with someone who is clearly so concerned and really and so eloquent about what the experience meant on the ground to a person who lived there. So I do appreciate your coming here. I think it took good strength to do that. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Aaron Mayor.
Thank you.